Hello and welcome to Brands Hatch. 2017 is finally here. It's round one of the Thundersport GB Championships for 2017, the 10th year of the series. The Aprilia Superteens are a thing of the past, if you like. We've now got the Thundersport Superteens, but still plenty of Aprilias on the grid. The new class here at Thundersport GB means they have their own grid, but we also allow the KTM RC390s and of course the Kawasaki 300s. So riders from the KTM Cup and the Kawasaki Junior Cup are eligible to participate this year in the Thundersport Superteens. They will be up against, of course, the regular Aprilia 125 production machines, and last year we saw, of course, the 450 restricted machines out there as well, who all prevail in 2017. We'll certainly hear on a very wet surface at Brands Hatch for the opening race of the year. You can see that the Kawasaki seem to be doing quite well there. 102 is Charlie Farrer, who looked like he might have just been overtaken actually into the hairpin here, and that looked like it may well have been Franco Born, number 21, that's gone through. A couple of familiar names in the field here for this weekend, names that have been at Thundersport for a little while, but here we are then coming up to Surtees, and it is number 21 Franco Born that has the early advantage. Further back there you can see a couple of those KTMs. In number 64, Liam Bassett, at number 7, Cade Verwey, who was around at a few rounds last year, actually on an Aprilia. It's steady to start with for one or two riders, of course, with this wet surface. They will have wet tyres available to them. Steve Day here, Thundersport Sid, is here with me in the commentary box as well, as we see the top three just going through there. It is Franco Born, number 21, young rider from Crook, who leads 102, Charlie Farrer on the Kawasaki, rider from Easington, and then another Kawasaki in third place, Scott Ogden, number 19 from Doncaster. There is number 78, Matt Bauer from Sheffield on the MD Racing Aprilia. We saw him a fair bit last year, and of course the orange bibs that denote that these are rookies in their first full seasons. Sid, good to be back after the winter. Perhaps unsurprising to see a little bit of drizzle as we get to round one. We've had our fair share of that over the years here at Brands Hatch, but nice to see the Superteens, albeit a slightly different look this year, getting a grid to themselves for 2017.
Yeah, there's going to be a bit of a slow burner, obviously. But yeah, Thundersport Superteens instead of Aprilia Superteens. The Aprilia 125s are still out there, which I should point out. The only machine that a 12-year-old can come and play on in this particular class. The rest are 13 upwards. And then we've got the familiar Aprilia RRV 450R, which is a 450 restricted to half power. Then of course we've got the Kawasaki that you can see there, and that's a 300. There's none out here, but you can have a Yamaha 3, as they're called, but I'm sure we'll soon see some of those on the grid. And also the KTM 390.
Oh dear, we've lost someone already, and that can happen, of course, up here at Brands Hatch on the brakes. And
Jake Hopper.
Yeah, Jake Hopper, the rookie for 2017, unfortunately skids down the road. I think it's fair to say that at some point in your career, if you don't have a front end washout on you at Druids, then you've probably not had a long enough career. Well, he's done it already, but he's up and he's walking away. That's the most important thing. We can see here the battle at the front getting quite close. The Aprilia 125 there of number 21, Franco Born, was leading. Oh, and just about squeezes it at the moment. It looks noticeable from the early stages, certainly from my point of view, Sid, that the Kawasaki might just be edging it on top speed at the moment.
Yeah, if you look at the, actually got 4 mile an hour extra across the speed trap there, 105 miles an hour for the Kawasaki, 101 for the 125. But you notice that the 125 is still really good on corner speed, which is where they make it up. The Kawasaki's definitely got the grunt out of the corners. It would have, wouldn't it, for a 300 twin. I think though, when you get to places with more flowing corners like Donington Park, I think that this is where the 125 will show its colours. And of course, it's the same with the KTM 390s, which also run at British Championship. they can run in this class now as well. They're all very similar, but they all are going to be better at one circuit than another.
It's not as if the Kawasaki is going past the Aprilia like it's standing still. You're right, there is not a lot of difference. I have to say that when I heard that the Aprilias, the KTMs, the Kawasaki's and the Yamahas in the future perhaps were coming together, I was a little concerned as a neutral whether there would be a dramatic difference. Not so at the moment. Of course, we know how great that little 125 production motorcycle is. It's been around for some time now, and it is still a strong motorcycle. There is Matt Bauer. You could just see in Jody Fieldhouse, who was on the podium a few times in the Aprilia Superteens last year. They're on that 450, the half power, if you like, the 450 restricted version, Sid. And we saw last year that there wasn't really an awful lot to split the 450 restricted bikes and the 125s either. So all in all, it's looking rather good at the moment.
Oh, it's actually brilliant, and as we've always said here at Thundersport, you know, that it's not about what you ride or where you ride, it's about all these youngsters being together and battling against each other, and that is the prime importance, and they hang out with each other, you know, off track as well, but they're really competitive on track. I think you'll see the KTM 390s will score well at some places, but I think it's an amazing mix. The 450R, I mean, once like the likes of Jody Fieldhouse gets the hang of that 450 and the different way it develops the power, I think she'll do really well on that, and the 450 will have places where it'll stretch its legs and be the winner, but it's going to ebb and flow, and I think it's going to make the championship really interesting.
Certainly is. Nice to see different manufacturers fighting it out at Super Teen level. It has happened once or twice before, right in the early days, but we've not seen it for a while. Here we see now the two leaders who are doing a brilliant job in these conditions. You can see how wet the circuit is. I should just point out the lap record, of course, still belongs to Jake Dixon at 54.8, but that was on a very sunny day here at Brands Hatch. Not quite the same here at the moment, but to only be 9 seconds off the pace, in fact 8 seconds off the pace, if you look further down the list. Not bad at all in these conditions, as the Aprilia there has finally been overtaken by number 102, Charlie Farah. Oh, an aggressive move coming here from Franco Born. You can see here they've both got their orange bibs on. They're both novices. This is what it's all about. This is where to start your career. I was lucky enough, Sid, to host the launch for the British Talent Cup just a few weeks ago. And there are some excellent signs there that Britain's future, and certainly if you want to go into a GP route, looks like it might be in a safe pair of hands under Dorna. Well, what an opportunity for the likes of these guys at the front of this race. Charlie Farah here, 102, 21 Franco Born, and for any other kids that are potentially thinking about entering this class, because there are going to be scouts that are going to be watching riders from this class, from British Championship, from other clubs as well.
Well, Jeremy McWilliams, who's obviously an ambassador for the British Talent Cup, which I personally am a big fan of. I'm really pleased that Dorna has done this. There's a lot of British talent that goes to waste, so it's absolutely fantastic. And obviously Jezza McSpreader.
Oh, sorry, Sid.
That's okay.
That is some move around the outside there from Franco Born into Druid's corner. That is brave. Despite being a novice, he certainly ain't scared as he goes around the outside, around Druids. Takes the lead once more, but he runs on to the rumble strips on the exit there of Graham Hill Bend. That can be treacherous at times. So all of a sudden, Charlie Farah now has work to do again. Back to what you were saying about McWilliams, Sid.
Yeah, he's Jezza McSpreader. He's no stranger to the Thundersport paddock, as you know. So these lads are going to be sort of prime spot for a pick. We'll see how that goes, and that'll be 2018. Meantime,
yeah, this is looking pretty close. They're side by side there as they go across the start-finish line. The first race of 2017 is a go. And okay, they might not be joined by anyone at the moment, but you would not want to put your money or your house on who's going to win this one. Around the outside at Paddock Hill Bend there again for Franco Born, who's using that nimble 125 Aprilia to his advantage. In fairness, 102 Charlie Farah's got plenty of corner speed himself, and oh, Franco Born almost loses the rear end on the rumble strips. It's slippery enough as it is without going on those painted rumble strips. manages to somehow hold on to it. Now they're side by side. They're brushing elbows. What a start to the 2017 season this is. Sid, well, I think the proof is in the pudding here. You wondered whether the Kawasaki's and the Aprilias could mix it and there would be some great competition. I think you have your answer already.
Absolutely, it's really exciting, and when some of the other lads and lasses get used to their new machinery, just bear in mind that a lot of the machinery is new to them, I think you're going to have masses across the line altogether.
Just see there Luke Verwey, he's about to be lapped by these guys. Just further back behind the top two, we should just mention that Scott Ogden, who was a part of this in the early stages on the Kawasaki 300, he is in third place at the moment, ahead of Super Teen regular Matt Bauer. And again, the door was left open there by Charlie Farrer, and there goes Franco Bourne sweeping up the inside. Here is number 6, poor Luke Verwey. Has got no idea what's about to happen to him here, and has that not worked out too well for Franco Bourne? Up the inside again, here comes Charlie Farrer as they go along the Cooper Straight and now make their way up towards Surtees. This one's not over just yet, but that didn't play into the hands of Franco Bourne at all, so he's now going to have to try and use all that corner speed here as they head up towards Clearways and onto the start-finish straight once more. But a bit of traffic here to deal with for these rookies, and let's not forget, this is not part of their plan. They know how to go quick, but not all of them are used to dealing with the traffic out front. Now then, the last lap flag is out. It's Charlie Farrer that has the lead at the moment, 102. All to do here then for Franco Bourne.
I should just point out that I don't know whether the KTMs run a different size tyre, because obviously now these are not Dunlop controlled tyres, that you can have any tyre you want. But I noticed earlier in the day that the two Verwey brothers are on dries, Steve, and I think that could be why they are struggling out there at the moment.
Well,
maybe there were no wets available for them.
If they're on dries, that's not perhaps why it could be. It will be the reason. You can see the spray still being kicked up here. Oh, a bit of traffic again, and Charlie Bourne here. Franco Bourne is going to lose out. Unfortunately for him, despite being involved in a brilliant race, it's his racecraft here through the traffic that might have just cost him. Of course, he will get time to perfect that over the next few weeks, but it looks like the checkered flag is out, and it looks like in the end, it's going to be more than a comfortable victory for Charlie Farrer, but it might not be the same in race 2. Checkered flag is out. Charlie Farrer wins the opening Aprilia Superteen race. Thundersport Superteen race. It'll take me a while to get used to that here at Brands Hatch, and they will be out to play in just a moment. There's confirmation. That was a closer race than it looks there on your screen. Farrer the winner ahead of Franco Bourne, Ogden, Bauer, Jody Fieldhouse in 5th, and Jake Clark takes 6th place. And there is the top 3 there on the podium. Very happy with that and their trophies. Well, we saw a brilliant race 1 earlier on here, Thundersport Superteens. A little later in the afternoon now here at Brands Hatch. I wouldn't say that it's dried up considerably, but it has dried up a little. It's still wet tyres the option. There you can see a little nod from Franco Bourne, who lost out in race 1 to Charlie Farrer. Second on the grid there was number 19, that's Scott Ogden. And there is the race 1 winner, Charlie Farrer. Sid, great race earlier on from these youngsters here at Brands Hatch, but it just seemed like as they got through the traffic, Charlie Farrer was a little cleaner at getting through the traffic, shall we say, than Franco Bourne. But it's not to say that Franco Bourne didn't deserve a piece of the action, because they both looked as good as each other in that one.
Yeah, they did actually. To be honest, anything can happen with these changing conditions. It's been sort of wet, dry. It's drying out now, though. And I can confirm, by the way, that the two Verwee boys are still on dries.
Wow, well that's still brave, because you can see here it's still quite wet. There's that sort of shimmer on the circuit at the moment. These are the conditions, I have to confess, that I absolutely hated when racing, because, okay, it's still wet at the moment, but it's very difficult to know how far you can push it. Of course, these wet tyres these days are incredibly grippy, but there's a few dry patches forming here and a dry line. You can see it there as they head around Surtees Corner. There's Jodie Fieldhouse just up ahead of Cameron Hall. Cameron Hall, a rookie for this year. Jodie Fieldhouse, once she gets to grips with that 450R, make no mistake about it, she'll be knocking on the door of those podiums on a regular basis. So here we go then, it's race 2. And, well, earlier on in race 1, number 21, Franco Bourne, was right up there with the leaders. He's made a poor start. There he is, struggling in the early stages. The bad news for him, of course, is that leading the race at the moment is Charlie Farrer, and so there's an awful lot of work here to do in the early stages for Franco Bourne if he's going to try and bridge that gap. Second place is fellow Kawasaki rider Scott Ogden, and this is the scrap for third further back. So perhaps a poor start, Sid, there for Franco Bourne. Of course, you know only too well from my experiences, it's ever so easy to bog those 1-2-5s off the start. Didn't quite see what happened to Franco there, but he has got a mountain to climb if he's going to catch up with these two boys.
Oh, the only way you can do the 1-2-5s, the two strokes, is have them on the stop and just feather that clutch all the way to keep it in the power band. But he's doing really well, and once he gets going, I'm sure he'll start to reel them in a bit. I should just point out, by the way, when we just back to the tyre thing, with the power that these bikes deliver, we're talking in terms of between 30, 34 brake horsepower. At this time of the year, with this track temperature, even with a drying track, you know, definitely, wets are the way to go. There's no question about that. They will not burn, not like 600s or GP1s, for example.
No, of course, with the power available, like you say, you shouldn't really tear up these tyres, but these kids aren't hanging about, it's fair to say. Already, both Charlie Farrer, number 102, and number 19, Scott Ogden, who are swapping paintwork here. Luckily, it's green, so it's not going to affect them too much, but they're lapping in the 1 minute. That's not bad at all, you know. For these conditions, on these motorcycles, not bad, and they are going for it here. Credit to Scott Ogden, who in race 1 was third place and 28 seconds adrift, Sid. He has come out after lunch, certainly had something to help him along the way, because he is right up there mixing it with the race 1 winner Charlie Farrer. Further back here you can see number 13, Jake Clark. Jake Clark in third place from Bromsgrove on that Aprilia 450R. Then you've got Matt Bauer, Franco Bourne's up there, Jodie Fieldhouse also scrapping it out, but for the second race win in the Thundersport Superteens, it looks like we may well have a scrap between the two Kawasaki's. There is Jodie Fieldhouse. She's out there on that pink and black Aprilia 450R. She had a brilliant time back at Anglesey in 2016, and she's hoping for more of the same this year. She picked up a few trophies at the award ceremony earlier in January as well, so plenty will be keeping an eye on her. There's that dry line around Surtees, but then it sort of disappears a bit around here as they come up around Clearways Corner. There is Scott Ogden there, number 19, just up behind Charlie Farrer. I noticed that for this race as well, Charlie Farrer's ditched his orange vest. Now, whether that means he's qualified to ditch it in between races, I'm not quite sure, but you can see there that the orange vest is no longer on Charlie Farrer, but it is on Scott Ogden. Either way, both of these young riders are not too far into their motorcycle racing careers.
Well, in actual fact, it's poignant you should say that. I was then going to say that I was speaking to Scott Ogden's dad on the test day on Friday, and there was it was a bit damp first thing, and he was just saying that that's the first time he was then going to go out on the bike, was his first time, and it was wet, and he was a bit daunted by that. Now, it didn't stay wet, they went out first session, but then it dried up completely. So that was effectively his first proper run out on wet tyres. So you can understand the little lad being a bit concerned about how it was going to fare on wets. And he did really well yesterday on the Kawasaki, and so it looks like he's got the hang of it.
Well, conversely, I was going to say that he's basically got out on circuit. He's seen that there's a little dry line, and I don't know, call it youth, shall we? He's just suddenly decided it's dry. Let's go for it on these wet tyres, and there he is, shadowing every single move of Charlie Farrer, the race 1 winner. I have to say that this is really encouraging for the Thundersport Superteens. There will be changes. We go to many, many different circuits with Thundersport GB. The moment the Kawasaki's may just have the edge, but I think Franco Born showed us enough in race 1 to believe that this is going to be fascinating. Of course, from here in Brand, we move over to Donington Park, the GP circuit, then over to Snetterton, then to Cadwell. We're back at Mallory Park, of course, Thundersport GB returning to, well, it's old home, let's be honest.
Yeah, exactly. I've missed Mallory.
So Mallory Park, then Rockingham, Anglesey, Alton, and then Donington National. So there is no circuit that we visit that is the same. Okay, Donington, same destination twice, but 2 different circuits, all of them different across the 9-round championship for 2017. And plenty of twists and turns to come. At the moment, Charlie Farrer has the upper hand, number 102 on his Kawasaki 300, ahead of fellow Kawasaki rider Scott Ogden. Further back, it is this battle here that you're looking at for 3rd place, and it is a proper scrap. Then you can see there number 21, Franco Born, who was 2nd in race 1, just up ahead of Jody Fieldhouse. But it's Jake Clark and Matt Bauer, the 2 Aprilia 450R riders, that are scrapping it out for the final piece of silverware.
Yeah, obviously this is the first round, and for the majority of our database, this is a long way to come. It's almost like the other end of the planet. I can reveal that at Donington Park, already at this stage, we've got a 3rd more Superteens than we've got booked in here. In addition, I can reveal, Steve, we've got 151 600s booked in.
Wow.
Which is like unbelievable. We think, we've got to double check on this, but we think that's a record of 600s anywhere at any event.
Well, it's funny really, because I was reading an article, I don't think it could have been more than 3 or 4 months ago, of someone saying 600 racing is dying. Well, it ain't. It's come to Thundersport GB.
I'll tell you.
That is unbelievable. And great news, of course, as ever for Thundersport GB, as we watch these 2 youngsters in the Thundersport Superteens scrap it out here for the 2nd race win. Of course, after this, they will move on to Donington Park. Sid, just a quick word in general on Thundersport GB. This is now going to be, can you even believe this is your 10th season?
No.
Unbelievable, but what a great 10 years
well,
it
not
has
until I
been.
look in the mirrors, Steve, and in fact I'm thinking of getting rid of the mirrors in my house, because that's the only time I'm reminded of how old I am. But no, it's what an incredible success. Again, slow burner to begin with. We do things differently to anyone else, which is as you'd expect of your dear old dad, but it's absolutely fantastic. I mean, I'm overjoyed at the way it's gone, the way it's going. There's still work to do. There is still work to do, but I'm loving every moment of it. It's living the dream, and you know what that's all about.
Certainly do. Of course, it's always about continuing to improve, continuing to change, and continuing to learn. The day that you stop doing all of those 3 things, you might as well pack it all in, but that's not happening here at Thundersport. It's certainly not happening here in this race either, because Scott Ogden is not giving this one up. Not by any chance at all. The checkered flag goes out. I'll tell you what, that was a bit too close for comfort. It is another win for Charlie Farrer. He'll be delighted with that, but if he has a quick glimpse over his shoulder, he will see a faceful there of Scott Ogden, who's done superb to get himself up there as close as that. Now the battle for 3rd, you can just see there going across the line. I can confirm Jake Clark has taken 3rd place ahead of Matt Bauer, and that is across the line there in the scrap for 5th. Jody Fieldhouse in a photo finish has just pinched 5th place there from the rider who was 2nd in race 1, Franco Born. So there you see changes once more. 2 Kawasaki 300s at the top, the 3 450Rs following in 3rd, 4th and 5th, and in 6th place, Franco Bourne. There's the top 3. It is Charlie Farrer who is victorious at round 1 for the Thundersport Superteens. Then he has caught up to Scott Ogden, who, of course, as Sid mentioned, had a brilliant day at the office here yesterday, but there is still a lot more to play for when we head to Donington Park next time out. Thanks for joining us here at Brands then. That's it for us here down in Kent. We now make our way up to East Midlands and Donington.